Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Lost and Loud, the podcast. I am so excited to be back this week. I can't believe we're already on episode 4. That is actually insane. Like, we're officially 1 month in. Can you believe it? Oh my god, yay! Cheers to a month. Oh my gosh. A month of my cup. A month of this sofa. Back to episode 1 where we talked about my lovely, lovely sofa. It has been very good to me since. Shout out to the brick for delivering it in person. I don't really have a main topic I want to talk about today. I think in general, I just want to talk about dating and love. Because 2 days ago, it was Valentine's Day. And usually, Valentine's Day can kind of make me feel a type of way. It can make me feel, because I'm single, it can make me feel very alone, and you almost have that feeling of missing out because so many people around you that are in relationships, that are going out that night, going out for dinner with their significant other, are just, you kind of wish you could do that too. But this is one of the first years that I didn't get that feeling, and it kind of makes me sad that I didn't get that feeling, but also relieved. And I kind of want to talk about it. So I want to talk into my view on modern day dating, why I think I felt that way this Valentine's Day. And also I want to get into reading some like dating stuff on Reddit. And I think that'd be really fun. I'm still figuring out this whole podcast thing. As you guys know, we're going to see if we can do some segments and all these different things, get an actual pattern into it once things get started, you know. But for now, we're vibing. And I've been thinking, let me know in the comments if I should be uploading these onto Spotify. Let me know what you guys prefer. Right now, it's just easier for me to do just video. But if you do want me to do an audio as well, so like you can listen in your headphones when you work out or something, let me know, because I obviously want you guys to have a great listening experience with this. And I want you to enjoy it as much as I enjoy filming these. Let's talk about the epitome of modern day dating. It is a very, very specific thing. It is the first time in history that we are dealing with so-called dating apps, online dating, the lack of interpersonal connection physically before getting to know someone. Majority of people now meet online, whether it's Instagram. I personally believe that Instagram is a dating app. You just don't swipe on people. But it is very much mostly people chatting in the DMs and messaging people when they see each other on stories or on a friend's story. You see someone out with a girl, and if she's tagged, you'll click on her you'll message her. I really think it's like modern day dating, even more than Hinge, more than Bumble, especially Tinder. Tinder's its own world, I feel like, at this point. Every social interaction on social media leads to some type of romantic or sexual interaction. And so that's why I firmly believe social media can definitely be a dating app. I definitely think it's number 1. I feel like I'm a little bit more of what people would say an old-fashioned type of girl, dating-wise. And I like that personally. I very much like to be taken out and the guy kind of covers the plans and covers the bill, you know, but I'm also okay with taking care of him and making him feel good and supporting him and stuff. And I feel like as somebody that kind of wants that nowadays, you're almost in a sense put down for it. Don't get me wrong, I love like working and doing all that type of stuff. I'm not saying I don't want to work, but what I'm saying is I definitely do like a bit more of the traditional side of dating in the past. Now, do I want to pull some modernism from today as well? Like, I want to be able to still have access to my own kind of thing, you know? But I'm also okay with like cooking and stuff like that. I enjoy that. That's stuff I have fun with. And it's been so hard to find a guy that is into that today. I very much would like a really like tough guy who's okay with like killing spiders for me. Who's okay to like do some physical stuff and help me build a house. Bring in the groceries for me. Like, I very much like that. I like a very like dominant kind of guy, and I'm a little more laid back, and I would like to be taken care of and go for dinner, and he plans everything, and then I'm just like, oh my god, like that's obviously like my ideal, and it's really hard to find that nowadays. And so for me personally, it's been a struggle. It has definitely been a struggle. And don't get me wrong, I like the traditional version of dating with a little modern twist, because obviously you still want to be able to have financial security within yourself. Like, I still want to be able to work and things, but I just think the split I want on those things are like 60-40 rather than 50-50 or 70-30 type thing. And so I've been struggling finding that. I also just had some health problems go on, so it really wasn't a good opportunity for me to start dating, but I definitely feel like in the next year I might. And I'm really scared about it because I tried it a little bit and it was it was good. Like, the guy I dated, I maybe I can go into my personal horror stories another episode, but it went well. He was definitely the type that was a hard worker. He definitely like took care of me. He would drive me home. He would pick me up, drive me home. He would cover the bill. He would be very much a gentleman, very much making sure he didn't do anything that I wasn't comfortable with, but it didn't work out. And then I had stuff going on in my life and I couldn't date for a while after that. I think it's really hard because when you're on dating apps, you don't really get to feel the charisma of someone. Like, do you know that feeling when somebody walks into a room and all eyes are on them because the energy they give off? Like, they'll just show up with this posture that they look like they can dominate a room and they now are the focal point. That is almost impossible to feel over a profile online. Like, there could be a guy that maybe wasn't physically your type, but you see him walk in a room, you see that energy he gives off, you see the way he talks, how his voice is, how confident he is, and that can immediately make you attracted to him. But on an app, maybe looking for 5 seconds, you would have swiped left. But that guy could have been the one. And so many people met people back in the day because they could feel that sometimes. Like, sometimes you might not be attracted to someone, but then the energy they give off in person makes them attractive. Don't get me wrong, physical attraction is important, but I think nowadays it's almost become too much of the priority. Like, it's like almost like that's the only thing that matters now, not your morals, your values, having things in common, hobbies in common, like ways of living life in general. I think it's just so interesting how dating apps and social media have completely dominated the way we pursue relationships today. I remember as soon as I turned 18 and I went to university, I downloaded Tinder because I wanted to know the hype. I wanted to know what everybody was talking about. I didn't really use it much. I used it maybe a month, and then I found a guy I liked and went on a date with him, went on a couple dates with him, and then he ended up being my first real, boyfriend. And so I've definitely had good experiences with it, but at the time it was also very new. So it was still very new. And I don't know, I think I didn't think too much of it back then because how many years ago was I 18? 24 now, so that was 6 years ago? Yeah, 6 years ago I was 18. So I think in the moment I kind of didn't feel that anxiety, I guess, behind dating apps because it was still very much meet people in person type thing. And I just thought, oh, this is like another fun way to do it. Now what's scary is that dating apps are the only way, especially if you're someone like me that works from home. How many times do people find the love of their life at their job or school? I'm not in school right now. And I don't have an in-person job with coworkers. So it's like, where are the people? I go out, but when I go out, everyone's like this. When you ride the bus, everyone's like this. When you're at a coffee shop, everyone has their AirPods in and they're scrolling on their phones. It's like, where is the human connection? What about someone like me, or a lot of people? It's not just me. A lot of people are craving that connection. I want to look up when I'm on the bus and make eye contact with someone. I want to look up when I'm at a coffee shop and maybe strike a conversation with a stranger. And so it's a little frustrating. Definitely is a little frustrating. And so me personally, I'm a very introverted person. I'm very, I guess you could say, avoidant attachment. I'm less of a person that needs to be around people all the time. I very much find peace in being by myself. So I think while I'm struggling with finding this connection and starting dating back up again, I'm okay with being by myself, at least to reflect, to work on myself. I try to go to the gym. I'm trying to make sure I have security with my job, I'm gonna get back into school, and a part of me is hoping that when I do go back to university, maybe that's where I'll find someone. Maybe because I just really don't like the whole dating app thing. I feel like you lose a lot with someone when that happens. And every time I swipe on someone left, I get this pit in my stomach where I feel like, what if I just swiped away my future husband? Whereas right now, I'm being so superficial thinking that he wouldn't be the one. But maybe if he approached me at a bar where I actually got to have a conversation with him and I got to see what his vibe was like and I got to see his energy, maybe it would have worked. And it eats at me. I don't know why. Am I the only one? Like, does anybody else get that feeling sometimes, that pit in your stomach, almost like of regret? And then it makes me want to swipe yes on everybody, but then that's not good either. Like, I can't figure it out. And it feels also just so selfish to buy the premium version and then be like, oh, he needs to have undergraduate degree, or needs to be at least this, needs to be at least this. And I feel like, am I like hiring someone in an interview, or am I trying to find my husband? It's insane, and I'm struggling a lot, and it would be really nice to know if anybody else is feeling the same way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against dating apps at all. I still use them, but I'm just not in a place right now where I can date. If you subscribe to my Patreon, I've talked definitely about personal stories with like my health. Actually, the week you guys are seeing this, actually, I think I will be having my surgery. I do have a surgery coming up that has to do with like my uterus and stuff, so that's a big thing why I'm waiting to date, to make sure everything goes well so there's no issues down there, right? Just because I feel like it would be too much for a new relationship to deal with that, and that's a topic definitely for another day we can talk about, especially when all that's done, so I can give you guys clear answers and things like that. Speaking of, this podcast is brought to you guys by my Patreon. If you guys want to help support the podcast and keep it going so I can get new equipment, I can get another couch for a guest, a better quality microphone, a better quality setup, or if you just want to help keep the channel going, you guys can go join my Patreon. You'll get early access to the podcast episode a week early, just as well as more personal YouTube style videos, whether it's videos about surgeries, whether it's updates about my life, just stuff like that. So if you guys want to go support, that would mean a lot. And if you can't join Patreon, just simply hitting the subscribe button, liking, watching the video all the way to the end definitely helps, and it's a free way to support as well, so it'd mean a lot. The support has been great, and even just reading your guys' comments is the highlight of my week. Like, filming this is my highlight, reading the comments, I just love it. I love just having these discussions, and I think we've had a lot of great discussions so far. There are people that like agree with me, there are people that don't, but then we have a respectful conversation, because there's always such a beautiful thing about listening to people's perspectives. It's like, I played this game with my mom. It's this iPhone game, and it's on the Game Pigeon, and it's called Anagrams, and you have a set of letters of like, what is it, 6 letters, and you have to try and make as many words as you can think of in a minute. And sometimes we'll finish the game and her words will be so different than mine. And it's crazy how two people can see one thing and think completely different things. Blows my mind every time. And I try to think about that with these discussions as well. Like, two people can look at one scenario and completely think differently. So I think it's a very beautiful thing to be able to have discussions like that, you know? So cheers to peaceful discussions about life. One thing I want to talk about with modern day dating is texting. I think a big issue with modern day dating, in my experience with it, is texting. I think it's like this. Even in friendships sometimes there can be toxic texting. It is not normal where both parties want to know what each other's doing 24/7, know where they are 24/7, and it's one thing to like do it out of safety, like, oh, text me when you get home so I know you're safe or something, but it's another thing to be like, tell me where you are 24/7, what are you doing, why are you doing that, who are you with, ba 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 ba. Yes, joining a relationship or a marriage or something means two people are coming to one, okay, but it's figurative language. It doesn't actually mean that you should completely lose your independence. And independence doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's okay for somebody after work to want to just read a book for 30 minutes without someone near them. That is not a bad thing. It's okay to be alone sometimes, because that's where a lot of people start to resent their partner, is because you have someone constantly texting you every single day. What are you doing? What are you doing? Who are you with? Like, What are you doing every minute of the day? Why are you doing this? And then they come home to you and then you're like, hi, 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 hi. And it's like, me personally, I get so overwhelmed with that. I'm like, dude, I have to like work and focus sometimes. Sometimes I just need an hour to myself to read a book without anyone texting me. And it's the fact that you could not text someone for 3 hours and they'll text you like, what's wrong? Are you mad at me? It's like, no, I'm not mad at you. I just don't have my phone to my hip 24/7. Now, I'm talking about relationships where you literally live together or see each other multiple times a week. If it's a long distance relationship, that's a completely different thing. Like, that type of communication is important. And it's like, it happens to me. Like, I remember I was talking to a guy once, and don't get me started on the whole talking situationships thing. That is another thing that's just ruining, like, relationships. Like, why are we letting these guys, like, do that to us? I can't. But again, another topic for another video. I just want to talk about these certain things and then get to the Reddit stories. But I think texting is a huge thing, because just think how people used to date before the whole cell phone stuff, before the whole social media stuff. A guy would ask a girl out, let's say, okay? He'd knock on your door, call your home phone, something like that, write you a freaking letter. I don't know, man, but he would do that. He'd ask you out. You would say, he'd be like, hey, are you free Friday, 6 p.m.? You'd say, yes, see you there. I'll come pick you up. You'd go on the date, he'd drive you home, and then that was it. There's no texting you 24/7 after to be like, hey, so what are you doing today? Hey, so what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now after it's only been 30 minutes since I last talked to you? It's like, by the end of the day, man, it's like there's nothing to talk about. Before, you used to be able to just maybe once a day at nighttime have a phone call for an hour and just go about your day. And you know what that does? I think this is important because it gives you something to look forward to. You know what people say, the heart grows fonder with distance, because it gives you something to miss. And as we know, that's how you keep the thrill of a relationship, is missing them. And missing them is good. It makes you want to be together. It makes the moments that you are together special. And so now, because you don't have 24 access, or you feel entitled to them 24 access. You should never feel entitled to someone 24 access. Like, that's, in my opinion, that's freaking toxic as hell. Like, let people breathe. I have a lot of trauma that I've dealt with relationships, but I'm still just trying to work on it because I don't want to be that toxic person. I think everybody can always improve on the bad parts about themselves. And so yeah, I think texting has totally changed the game for sure. It's like, I love social media. I'm such a social media like person at heart that I just love the connection it brings. But man, the bad parts of it, I hate. I hate the whole child exploitation that people do with their kids. I hate the whole manipulating children with consumerism and capitalism from like influencers not disclosing ads. And so with that, we get Sephora kids. I hate how people are so quick to bring up someone and then tear them down. But damn, are the good parts good. But the bad parts are frickin' bad. I have this love-hate relationship with it, but I freaking love technology. It's like such a weird thing to experience and to feel. There's just too much easy access to people with social media, with dating apps, with texting. It's so easy to get bored because you're talking about everything every 10 minutes. So by the end of the night, when you're in bed alone together, it's like there's nothing else to say. Now, obviously, you have your couples that are fine, but in my experience, at least, and it's really hard. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to what I'm saying. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. And we're not talking about freaking like people that are not trying to heal their avoidant attachment issues. We're talking about like two people that just have a mutual love for each other, but then sometimes they just fall out of love. And the question is why, you know? Sometimes people are just like, I get bored and nothing really happened. And that's kind of what we're talking about. I'm not talking about cheating. I'm not talking about all these things. I'm just talking about why it could be that two people are really, really enjoying each other's company. And then one day it just, poof, gone. And I think those things could have something to do with it. But I'm just a girl in her basement on a couch with a microphone. Who am I you know? But that's what this place is for, is to discuss these things. Now, with that being said, with Tanya's issues with modern day dating, those were only 2 things, man. And I would love to hear your stories. If you guys want to email me at lostandloudpod@gmail.com. Please send in your stories, life stories, crazy dating stories, anything. I want us to do a podcast episode where we go through those. So your girl has Reddit open. As we know, it's like the best thing for this type of stuff. What was your worst experience from dating apps? Cheers. So here's our first story. I matched with a goth girl who seemed really down to earth. Profile seemed normal and everything, so I swiped and we matched. Everything went well and we decided to meet at the park and walk our dogs. Oh, that's kind of cute. Oh, except if it's at nighttime, red flag. Her dog went to poop, so I handed her one of my baggies to pick it up. She barehanded her dog's poop and carried it about 20 feet to the trash can and wiped her hand on the back of her jeans. I would be mortified. Oh my gosh. I made sure not to let her touch me for the rest of the time. Who would think that's a good idea to do on a first date? On any date? I think that one's gonna stay with me for a little bit. Here's another one. I was catfished. I thought she was legit and we talked for months. I went to go visit her and it was a guy claiming to be her best friend. Oh my gosh, this is literally an episode from Catfished. And she had to run to pick up a friend who was drunk. The woman in the profile never returned, and he was trying his best to get in my pants. I don't get why people catfish. Like, I get maybe, like, making a profile and just wanting some validation so you get swiped on or something. But to actually then message people and actively try and fool them, that is so, so gross. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how insecure you are. I don't care how lonely you are. That is not right. Reevaluate your morals and go get a therapist. I do not care. Because I'm not the freaking prettiest princess in the pod. But I would never freaking do that to someone. That's awful. Definitely, biggest dating advice, do not wait months to meet a person. Red flag. 2 weeks tops. Like me, for example, I need at least like to talk to them for at least a week. Because it's like, I don't even know if I want to meet you. Like, to me, going on a first date, in my opinion, is intention. If I go on a first date with you, it's because I think we've connected and I actually want to maybe pursue something with you. So let's talk about our hobbies as if we met at a bar or something, and then ask me out. That's how I see it personally. But it should not be more than like a week or 2. You should definitely meet with them. Do not let it wait months. Oh gosh, this one's long, guys. Met her in a park near my house. Okay, that's already scaring me. Very early on, she mentioned she was hungry, and if I was down, we should go back to my place and order a pizza at some point. Sure, I was down, but wanted to let the date play out a little and see if we vibed before inviting her back. She was relentless. It was clear the pizza was the only thing on her mind, and being a dumb, horny dude, I had the very slight inkling that maybe going back to my place could lead to something fun. So we go there, we order a pizza, I pay. She doesn't offer to pay or thank me for paying. That's messed up too. Girls, if you want a guy to pay for you, at least potentially offer and definitely thank him, because even if the date doesn't go well, it's still like somebody doing something for you, you know? You shouldn't just be like, food. Like, you should be like, oh my gosh, thank you. But does paying for something mean the guy gets any more than just eating food? No. And that's important too. The second, and I mean the second the pizza's ordered, she immediately shifts topics and starts going on and on about how we would make such great friends. So she starts going on and on about how we would make such great friends, that we vibed so well, that she enjoyed talking to me so much that she would never ever do it with me in a million years, but I was like her platonic soulmate. She even went on to describe other non-sexual male friendships she'd had in the past and how it was so funny to be able to tell these guys wanted it while she only saw them as buddies. Girl, oof, that probably feels really bad, because like, you think it's a date, you think that she thinks it's a date, and she knows you think it's a date, and she's using that against you to get free pizza, and then as soon as she gets it, she's like, hey bestie. Now, I like to go on dates with little to no expectations, and if the vibe between me and somebody is legitimately closer to friendship than romance, I have no problem keeping it platonic, but she was hammering the point home to the point of being insulting. Bear in mind, we've known each other less than an hour at this this point, and she's done nothing but talk about herself. Suddenly, I'm just thinking about how me and her are going to be besties for years to come. And again, just in case I missed the first few times, constantly working into the conversation that nothing romantic or actual is ever going to happen to us. Oh my gosh. Now, none of this would have been much of a problem if it had been brief. I've had many a date where it was obvious early on they weren't interested, and I was madly annoyed to have to pay for something before we quickly went our separate ways. That's all fairly standard. Okay, well, you shouldn't be paying to expect a one-night stand. First of all, that's your mistake. You should pay not because you expect a girl to give out a one-night stand on a first date. You should be paying from the point of view that I want to show this girl that I can take care of her. Like, that's your own issue, that you should not expect those things. Because if you're just showing people, hey, I can take care of you, I can cover this bill, it has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with you and your values. So it's your problem for putting that expectation on it. But after this girl turned me down and ate her free pizza, she just wouldn't leave. When I was finally able to walk her to the subway, she again monologued about how this was such a great friendship, how we were going to be in each other's lives for a long time. This person met a girl on a dating app, okay? They got into a Ferris wheel with a chick who started discussing her MLM scheme. Longest 20 minutes of my life. And to top it off, I tried to change the conversation to mangoes and how amazing they are. She said she hated them and continued her MLM spiel. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I feel so bad for laughing. I got catfished by the same dude twice. Not once, but twice. So I read some dating stories, so now I want to go to Reddit too and see other people's opinions on modern day dating. So this is, what is the biggest problem with modern dating? So this person said, there's always thousands more possibilities waiting on Tinder. So people are too quick to swipe people away unless they're perfect. That is so true. And I think it's the idea of the grass is always greener. You know, like this person is a 9 out of 10, but maybe, just maybe, I'll find the 10 out of 10. Swipe left. So definitely agree with that. A lot of people are so afraid of commitment and putting in mutual effort that they would rather be in a situationship than an actual healthy adult relationship. Completely agree. And that's something I was going to talk about too, like the whole situationship thing. A situationship is not a situationship. You are in a relationship with someone, whether you call it that or not. If you are having emotional connection with someone, you're feeling attached to them, you're doing romantic things, you're hanging out, you're in a relationship. Because in a situationship, there's always one person that's detached and one person that is attached. That's why it's a situationship. You gotta get out of it. Get out of the situationships. They almost never end well. It's horrible for your mental health, and you should never let someone disrespect you like that and play with your emotions like that. Oh, I care about you. I want to treat you like my girlfriend, but you're not. And I'm still going to be with other people. People being so used to instant gratification. Yep, that's what I was talking about before with texting. Someone doesn't respond in 20 minutes and people act like it's the rudest thing ever. Like, no, it's actually rude to text someone every 5 minutes. That's rude. There are no more, oh my gosh, this one I so agree with. There are almost no more really cool hangout places anymore. Most of it's done online. You don't really have that meetup place you could look back in the day. Everything's also so expensive now too. That is so true. And like I said, places like libraries, bowling alleys, coffee shops, everybody's like this now looking down. It's sad to see. It makes me feel like I'm gonna be single my whole life. I just want to bake cupcakes all day. Like there's this lack of a third place. It's like there's college, unless you have like college or work, but it's like, it's not even a third place. The third place is supposed to be somewhere of leisure and no responsibilities. So where can people go? I don't know. 'Cause I would go there. Frankly, no one wants to invest anything anymore because everyone thinks there's better options out there. So if you're not an immediately perfect match, you're out instantly. Yeah, that's what I said. People refuse to work on relationships because it should be easy if it fits. It's not true. All relationships take work, just like friendships. It's nothing in life is easy. I wish it was, but it's not. Nobody goes out and does anything anymore. You used to be able to go to events and meet people and connect and socialize. There are still events, but it's not like it used to be. It's harder to socialize and meet new people when everyone just stays inside on Discord and plays games. Yeah. And then someone responds, female here. Even when I'm out, no one ever approaches. When you do go out, no one wants to approach you because it's like awkward or embarrassing. Like people, like I've seen people make TikToks where it's literally like, does anybody get the ick when a guy approaches you in public? Does anybody get the ick if like a girl wants like you to pay for her or something? I'm just like, bro, like stop with this ick shit. People are just people. Like we're not like in grade 5. Like, fuck. You talking about your icks give me the ick. I'm reading so many and they all just say situationships ruin dating. I agree. Let's just end it there. What do you guys think ruined dating? What do you think about modern day dating? Let me know down below if you have any dating stories, any dating advice you need, or things you want to share on the podcast. Again, make sure you go email me, lostandloudpod@gmail.com. I think this was a really great episode. This topic was on my mind because it was Valentine's Day. And I was alone on Valentine's Day. But I almost felt relieved I was because ultimately it comes back to why I wanted to talk about this was because it was Valentine's Day. And a part of me was okay with that because I'm just like, if I have to deal with all the modern day stuff that's going on today, I'd rather be single. And I felt relieved at being single so I didn't have to deal with a situationship and wondering if they were going to ask me out or something. It's like, if it's not a hell yeah, guys, it's a hell no. Think of that with every aspect in your life. If it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no. And with that being said, I will see you guys next week.